Good afternoon, everyone. How are you doing? I think it's been a week since we last met. Let me just quickly, go back and see what we did during the last session that we were all together. We basically ran through the entire list of things that we were going to cover in this entire program, which would probably run for a few weeks. Then we basically discussed again on the uh, way we would write down the goals. This would essentially be complemented by assessing our strengths in the first place, then making sure that our education aligns with our career goals, based on which, of course, we would go about researching on various career options. I hope you remember that we discussed a lot about how much we basically need to research to ensure that we pick on the right career options. So when I look at career options, there are two things that I would think are very important to finalize at this stage. One is what kind of roles would mean a good start for my career, and then of course the kind of companies where I would like to work. Let me start this current session by talking about the kind of roles that one would want to pick for their careers. Okay, one, as I said, based on again, keep coming back to career goals, strengths, and education. These three would essentially decide what kind of roles actually suit me. It's not like that everybody can actually start off with a common start. It would be good to basically differentiate at this stage itself. Uh, like for example, I always say that if you were to start a career in software development, there are various options, various roles that are available. It may be true that you might actually start off with a 18 months or a 12-month training program, but it is very important for the employer to know the kind of role that you are actually looking forward to in that company, so that you get assigned accordingly as you complete your training in the company. If I would like to take a few examples of the kind of career options that you might get in various industries, let's look at software development to start with. Of course, one of the few roles that you will see here is development. You can see testing. Then today we have a big demand for a stream called DevOps. Then you have other possibilities depending on the kind of company that you look at: data science, business analytics. Then of course, business analyst roles are also there in most of the companies. The next other industry that I would probably look at is if some of you are graduating from mechanical or industrial and production engineering, these kind of combinations. There are several options for you to pursue. For example, if you are getting into a manufacturing sector, there are a lot of roles. As you move up, of course, you would always start as a graduate engineer trainee, but then many a times in the interviews that happen, the companies would like to know what kind of roles that you would want to pursue in manufacturing companies. So there are many options. Like for example, we always say that if you are a great guy at design, you could probably join the design department. Some of you who are good at execution can join production, and some of you who would like to who are very happy handling machines and making sure that they're up and running all the time, you could be joining maintenance. There are today, if you really look at it, there are a lot of options in the line of purchase, supply chain. Because these are the ones which ensure that manufacturing happens on time, and these are very critical to success. So you could probably choose those. Some of you who may be interested in engineering, manufacturing combined with finance. So there are roles in the commercial area. So there are so many options. If you look at manufacturing, there are a lot of lines that are open. that you could actually choose. The other possible career options that you might want to look at based on again your strengths and your education, you could also look at career options in quality assurance. There are a lot of positions in customer support. There are positions in sales and marketing. All of these, if you understand yourself well and the roles well, they could actually mean a lot. Why I am again and again harping on this is that you need to have clarity when you join a company with the kind of role that you would want to pursue. Don't get carried away that, oh, I start as a graduate engineer trainee. 12 months from now, I will probably be able to decide. Please note that HR makes a note of the kind of interest you have in different career options. These are marked, and once you complete training, the way you have performed in training and the interest that you had, probably talked of in the interview would probably help you to get into those lines. Of course, switch is possible because there are a lot of discoveries as you go into the job. There are a lot of things which you would not have understood at this point of time. You suddenly realize when you get into the job. Maybe you thought software development was a great job. Then you are exposed to bug fixing, bug finding, and you think that's much better way to know an entire product. So you probably want to stay back in testing. So you might always want to make that switch. That switch is possible, but then if you have clarity, it becomes very easy for the company to say he's completed training. His interest was to pursue a career in this, so let us put him there. It's good for you, and it is definitely good for the company. So that is where I keep saying that when you start your career, make sure that you have this clarity when you start attending interviews. As I said, you have so many options. You understand yourself. You understand what kind of responsibilities. So obviously, this will also help you to prepare for these kind of interviews. Like people would say, we've always seen, in the interviews that people ask, so what makes you think you're good at software development, or what makes you think that you're good at supply chain, or what makes you good at testing, or what makes you good at business analytics. You need to have proper answers to it. And as I said, if you really prepare well, you would have actually picked up the skills that you want at a much earlier stage, so that in the interview you can actually talk about it. So the next part of the research is to know a lot about the kind of companies that you would want to pursue. I would say that it's very important to spend time understanding the kind of companies that are there in the market. One is to decide on the kind of sectors that you would want to pursue. In those sectors, what are the kind of companies that are available that will suit your career goals and the kind of roles that are available? Very, very important to know the kind of roles because uh, what is it that you typically see in the market? You will see that companies advertise uh, their roles through job descriptions. So they basically talk about the roles and responsibilities, the kind of work that is involved, and the kind of person that they actually look forward to working with them. So it's very important for us to understand whether what I want to do and what they want, this role to do are the same. Then it becomes very, very easy for you to map and say, this is what I want to pursue. Uh, you also need to look at what are the various hiring routes, right? We'll look at a little more in detail as to what kind of approaches that you need to have for companies that come to your campus and companies that don't come to your campus. It's very important for us to know the difference. What is the kind of process they have, whether they do written tests, whether they call you for off campus, whether they come to your campus and what kind of interviews they have, how many rounds, whether it is technical, whether it is aptitude, what kind of behavioral tests do they put us through in the interview. All these things make a very very important part of your research. As I said, let's look at the next slide because it talks a lot in detail. So here I'm slowly beginning to move into the section 2, which is about collecting a lot of information, right? Putting it in a very methodical way, we basically start with the kind of career goals that you already have in front of you. Then I'm assuming that you have decided on the roles you want to pursue. Then the next list is the skills you have and you want to add, because you still have time, you can add some more skills, and the industry you want to work. So I'm assuming that based on your career goals, these three are finalized. I'm just taking an example. The role you want to pursue, let's say, is software development. Skills, let's say you already have learned full stack and React JS, and maybe there are a few more skills that you would like to add in this. And the industry you want to work is either probably education, because that's what is booming after the COVID, and e-commerce, of course. This is going to be the future. So, if I want to summarize, the whole thing here, which I'm assuming you spent a lot of time researching and you arrived at this, if I could make a statement here, you would want to work in an e-commerce company as a software specialist with skills you have or you are going to acquire. So this is something that becomes your research definition, so that you basically go about finding step by step in terms of the kind of companies and then a lot of details about that. Let's look at this based on whatever problem statement we wrote. You're going to find a full list of companies. Let's we're talking about skills. We're talking about the sector, which is like e-commerce or whatever, and what is it that you want to do. So you have a full list of companies. So we need to understand that there are companies that come to your campus and companies that don't come to your campus. Many a times, our dream company may not be coming to the to the campus. So we have to be very very sure that we are making an attempt to get into this company as well. Of course, there are different circumstances which can decide, but then we need to make an attempt. Okay, so once you have made this list and you have differentiated, make sure that you go and make a list of their websites and the key people involved uh, in these companies. When I say key people, one is to, of course, understand who is there in the management. And for you at this stage, key people are people who manage university relations. There are people in certain specific projects which you are interested in, so you may want to talk to them. So these are actually your key people, right? So we make a list of all that and then begin your research. So what is it that you would like to understand about the company that you want to get into? Let's look at it. So to start with, you need to understand what are their products and what are their services. Today, there are, of course, specializing companies which are handling products, and there are companies which generally offer services. But then, most product companies also offer a different kind of services, because product companies also have to customize. They have to take care of their customer needs in specific. So there are different kind of services. That is, especially after the product has been delivered, there are different types of services that one need to offer. So you might want to even be a part of the servicing team that of a product company. So there are various possibilities that I'm talking about. So that is one thing. So you need to make note of, you need to understand. And please remember, we are not talking about one company now. We're talking about information about several companies in this manner, right? Then we look at the size of the company. So in terms of when we say size of the company, uh, how many people are there? How are they doing financially? Are they on funding? If it is a startup, this is a 100-year-old company. What is their market standing? What is their turnover? there are various parameters on how you measure financial success of a company. So it's very important, right, at this stage for you to join a company that doesn't run into a storm, 1 year from now. So it's very important to understand that. What is the geographic spread? Where are they based out of, and what is their presence in various countries, what is their presence in India, how big is the India team. It's very, very important. Then of course, the other important thing is, we say the brand size. How big is the brand? Uh, will everybody know that you're working for this company? So it gives you a kind of recognition, or it's a brand that is mostly known in technological circles, or is it a retail brand? There is also another thing which is called the employer brand. So they have amazing people policies. Is this a company which has been awarded by great places to work? So there are various ways to measure a company's success and presence in the market. So it's very, very important for us to know what this company is all about, and its various strengths and assets, whatever you can call it, right? And then the nature of projects where you may get involved, because many a times we find that this is the sector, this is the kind of company I would want to work with, but right now they do not have the roles that I would like to play, so it may become a no-go. So it's very important to figure out the kind of projects where you think you can be associated in the future, right? And the other thing is the business roadmap. Okay, today this company, as I said, various ways to measure a company. So this is the current positioning of the organization. What would be the business roadmap? How are they growing? Whether they are doing acquisitions, whether they are organically growing, what kind of paths are they taking to grow in the market, right? Then the technology roadmap. So we say this company is operating at this level with these kind of technologies, but how are they going to upgrade themselves? How are they going to compete in the market? Because finally technology becomes a deciding factor. So again, it's very, very important for us to know, the technology roadmap. If you're a person who would like to grow quickly, contribute to the growth, you have a great learning curve, but then the company is good, is big, but is stagnant. Maybe you may not want to work for this company. So all these are, deciding parameters. Uh, again, looking at the 5-year plan, how are they positioned in the market, right? And then the other important factor is the profiles of people in the company. A lot of people measure a company by the kind of people they have. Are there people from premier institutes? Are there people with PhDs, doctorates? What is their career paths? How have they grown? What has been their contribution? What are the areas where they have contributed? All these things, uh, especially if you think that they are some of these people there listed are your role models, it becomes very, very important for you to know, right? And also, what is their uh, presence in the media, one by press, by social media, and the alumni of the company from your college. All of these people can actually tell you a lot about this company. This is not an exhaustive list. You can keep digging in, trying to figure out. You could even hit Glassdoor and see what the employees feel about this company, what the employees feel about the CEO, what is the roadmap, what is the technology trajectory, whatever. You get a lot of information. So collect as much information as you can. Uh, so why, uh, why do I need this information? Is it really, really important? Yes, very important, because one is to assess and evaluate this company, to whether it meets your career goals and ambitions, and or okay, I don't have an option. If everything else fails, maybe I will choose this company. So that could be one of the things, right? Uh, Again, people career paths can help you understand how you can grow in this organization. If you have seen somebody who has spent 10 years in the organization and this guy has rapidly moved up the, vertical growth is not necessarily the only measure. There could be people moving laterally as well, gain a lot of experience and then probably take next level role. So, and then if you really look at what are the roles that these guys have played in those 10 years, in these days, if people have stayed in an organization for 10 years, that itself is a great thing. And what has actually kept them there for 10 years, what was motivating, what was inspiring, what was learning for these guys. So probably it's very going to be obvious in the LinkedIn profiles that you might see. So it can actually give you a perspective, right? Product and technology roadmaps can give you a perspective again. What kind of technology adaptations, market adaptations, and growth rate. Again, very important parameters to decide about a company. Most important, it helps you also communicate well. So when you are sitting for an interview, and uh, people are going to ask you, what do you know about us, right? If you are going to talk about their company, what their plans are, what is their positioning in the market, and how the company plans to grow, and you're going to explain that I want to be a part of this growth plan. It gives a certain amount of good feeling for the interview panel that this person is aware, and this awareness naturally is due to the fact that this person would like to be associated with this company. So that itself is a very uh, plus thing that can happen in the interview. It can be a great booster for you, can improve your chances of getting selected. So that's very important for you. That's the reason why I keep saying do a lot of research, not just for you to know, but for them also to know that you have researched for a good reason, right? So where are their sources? Where would you get this information? Of course, the easiest thing is the company website. Look at social media, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, uh, and any other this thing. Press. If you Google, you will get a lot of information through the press releases, so that you could look at your alumni and other contacts, and you could also make fresh connects and acquaintances. Please get connected to as many people from this company, so you connect with them, talk to them, and you can always say, hey, I'm looking at uh, associating myself with this company. I know you guys come to the campus, right? So I would like to probably be involved and learn a little more before I actually hit the selection deck. So please help me out. Also, I would like to make a point here. You also need to collect a lot of information about companies that don't come to your campus. And when you are trying to get that information, your fresh connects and acquaintances will play a big role in probably helping you get to a source where you can talk to and probably explain your interest in the company. It could be a HR person, it could be a talent acquisition person you might get introduced to, and it might open your doors if they are not coming to the campus. So it's very important to know, connect, and grow. It's very important for us to follow this path. Thank you. Before we really get into the interview facing techniques, I really felt it was very important to talk about projects and internships, because somebody during my last session asked me, is it very important to spend a lot of time on projects and internships? Very important. I would like to reiterate, because these projects and internships, if done well, can definitely land you into a very good uh, job or role or whatever you call it with a company of your choice. That is assuming that you landed into this company to do a project of your choice, which would probably meet your career aspirations over a period of time. Uh, so I would say that you should really make sure that you pick the right project, and make sure that you answer certain very relevant questions. How relevant is my project going to be for my career? So make sure that your projects will in some way connect to your long-term career goal. It should actually be in the scheme of things, right? What are the relevant skills that will help? Again, whether my skills that I have can actually get deployed in the project. Again, connecting to your career goal. Then you should also look at whether this project will give you an opportunity to learn new skills, which would again contribute to your career goal. And the last thing is whether this project will give me an opportunity to work with this company for a long time. The reason why I'm saying this is there are a lot of companies who pick up people who do well in their projects. They make a PPO, that's a pre-placement offer, so that at the end of the project you just take a break, complete your examinations, and come back and join the company, which is the best thing to happen, because you're getting continuity, you know the people, you know the project, you know it meets your aspirations, and so you are in the right track. Let us also look at another scenario where you may not get a PPO, right? But if you have made sure that all these conditions are met, it is connecting with your career goal, then it is still a very good thing to happen. But what I would suggest is that uh, you have done your project well, but make sure that you have understood the project well, and be prepared to present yourself at the interview with a lot of information about your project. It's very important, because the reason why I'm saying this is I have been through a lot of interviews as a panelist, and a lot of the technical panel involved are very keen to understand what you have done in your project. Please remember that this is the only practical experience, exposure that you can showcase to your panel. So it's very important for you to have assimilated this project very well. And I would say there are various sections in your project which you really need to know about when you go in front of your panel. One is to make sure that the problem statement or the objective of your project work is very clear, because this will give a clarity to the panel that you started this project with a very clear objective, or you're going to solve a certain problem when you started this project. A lot of people don't read the literature survey. What is a literature survey? Before you start a project, you would want to research and figure out what is the work that has already been done in this direction, and you don't want to end up repeating it. So you go through it and say, this is already the work done, and this is what I'm going to do in the as a next step. Many people in the interviews, when asked what your predecessors have done, they are not able to answer. They don't know what has been done. And many a times the tech panel repeats year on year, and sometimes the project gets repetitive. And results are, of course, can never be vouched. So the panel feels that somebody is doing a cut and paste of what has happened. So that means no literature survey has been done. So you don't know what work has been done in the past, and you just ended up copying another project. So when you do a project sincerely, make sure you have done a literature survey and you're addressing the next best thing, and you showcase this in your interview, you are on the right path. Then we talk about the project methodology. Please spend a lot of time understanding that there is something new about your project methodology. Okay, results, just also not only present the outcomes but also do an analysis. Say that these are the results, and what could be the probable future work. So which can also be presented in your roadmaps and learnings. That means what is going to be the future. So when you present this information well, people are going to believe you that you really did a great job of your project. And as I said, this is a practical, uh, part of your entire course, because people know your academic performance, which is uh, reading and presenting yourself on an in an examination center. But here, this is practical work. So people are going to judge you in terms of what kind of practical work you will do in future. So one, work better be good and you present it well. This is definitely a sure short way to get yourself into the good books of the panel. The other thing is internships. There are universities and colleges which probably don't encourage people to do internships as a part of the curriculum. Even in such cases, I would say it's good for you to pursue certain internships, even at least during the gaps that you have, like you say summer internships, or you probably take special permissions from your faculty and say, I want to attend half a day of a full quarter or half semester of your half semester attending an internship in an industry, because this is going to really help you. Because again, as I said, like project internships also is like practical course where you get hands-on work to do. So make sure that there is clarity about what you learn in this internship. There's a clear objective, there are clear outcomes, and these are recorded and these are finally presented both to the college, and your preparations of what you did at the internships can also help you ace the interview. These two, projects and internships, actually play a very important role in making sure that you are able to showcase your practical work that you have done in the 4 years of your education program. So, as answering to the last question that we received, do not take projects and internships lightly. We've seen a lot of people who go blank and say, "Oh, I don't remember this, I don't remember that." Somewhere, and many people say, I did not do this part of the project. We were a four people team. All of this very clearly says that you are not connected enough with the project or internship. And at least my experience, the tech panel simply drops you like a hot potato. So it's up to you. Again, as a last statement, reinforcing, take these two things very seriously in your life, complete it well, and present it well.